Dude, when are you gonna make a new video? Hi everyone, thanks for keeping your interest in my dual turntable mod. In this video I fixed a major design flaw that greatly increased the quality of life for gameplay, and I'm referring to this ugly wire sticking out the top that connects to the external buttons. Expectedly so, the wire eventually got tangled and broke off, so it was clear that if I wanted to keep playing, I would have to find a more sustainable solution. I figured that I would install a new slip ring that would accommodate the extra wiring to the external buttons. So the plan was set. I found a small 12-wire slip ring on Amazon. It seemed like a close enough fit to try out, and I figured I could do adjustments as they come up. And as it turns out, I was correct. Here are the two slip rings side by side. Note that the body of the new slip ring has the same diameter, but it's also taller and has a wider flange. So I cut out the old slip ring to fit the new one, and to make the new slip ring fit in, I had to cut open this enclosure area to make room for the bottom. And now the flange is resting on the controller shell rather than being nestled in. To keep it steady, I centered the slip ring as best as I could, and I hot glued the underside of the flange to the controller. With the new slip ring in place, I checked to see if the platter would fit on the top end. And luckily this metal plate fits the slip ring very snugly without needing the small brace that it originally had. Now, onto the wiring. Remember that organization is key. I started by going through each wire and soldered the corresponding color onto the slip ring, then reconnecting the corresponding wire to the platter chip. In other words, I ran the black wire on the controller to the black wire on the slip ring, then connected that to the black wire on the platter, and so on and so forth. I repeated this for the other main wires and tied them together, and I used plenty of electrical tape to reinforce high stress areas, like at the top of the slip ring. At this point, you can test your controller to see if it works properly. If it doesn't work, then you might have run into the same problem that I did, where the faulty slip ring had a cross connection. Just remember to check your continuity and your solder. And so, congratulations! If your controller is working like normal, then you've successfully replaced your slip ring. Is it the same as the original? Well, not quite. The new slip ring that I used is a bit tall, so it raises the platter a bit. While the sensor has no issue reading the scratches, I will admit that it's a bit wobbly and louder to play. I fixed this issue by adding some padding on the underside of the platter. I tried using felt at first, but the texture felt off, so instead I used this old shirt, and that felt a lot smoother. Now we could work on the mod itself. As a reminder, we have 4 wires that connect to the external buttons, a ground that connects to all 3 buttons, and 1 wire for the green, red, and blue buttons each. So I confirmed which wires are ground, green, red, and blue, and I labeled them. And so now we take those wires from the chip and solder them to the remaining wires on the slip ring. Then I reconnected those respective wires to the underside, and finally made a hole through the side of the controller to fish the wire to the external button enclosure. And that is the final iteration of my double platter mod. And so while the game was never intended to be played this way, the controller gives a unique experience to turntablism that the devs probably imagined while mapping some of their songs. And so as I'm playing, I start to wonder what other button layouts are possible too. Do you agree with the layout that I have? Or what would you do with this mod? And with that said, thanks for listening to my guide. I hope to see you in the next showcase.